Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. This is the CZ457 MDT chassis rifle in 2.2 rimfire. So you've seen the 457 MDT in use. I've had this for 2-3 weeks over the Christmas holidays. Happy 2023 to everybody, by the way, because it's January now. Well, what can I tell you? It's been awful weather and it's been very, very windy, but I did get a good opportunity, and the first thing I'll tell you about is you've seen the results on paved targets. Those are all at 50 metres. 5 ammunition types, all very accurate, all very precise. Obviously the accuracy was dependent on whether I was zeroing exactly or not, or just continuing shooting the groups, trying to fit between the gusts of wind, but I'm very happy with the way it shoots. The 20-inch 510mm barrel is developing good velocities, and I used it with a moderator on the end because it's a 1/2 inch by 20 thread, but it does come with a muzzle brake if you want to use that one. One thing I will say about rimfires is recently I've been using some tuners on barrels, and it is the next level moving to a tune. Everybody goes, what's the most accurate rifle? Well, I'll tell you this now. I have been absolutely, I've been thrilled by just how you can improve the performance of the ammunition, not so much the rifle, but the ammunition by tuning it to the barrel. Because you can't tune rimfire ammunition, all you can do is tune the barrel, and the tuners are definitely worth looking into if you want to push that absolute limit of the accuracy and precision available from a rimfire. But anyway, what more can I tell you about the 457 MDT? Well, if you look on my channel, I'll put a link to it probably on this video. There's a massive review of a lot of 457 variants, but particularly the 457 LRP, which I do actually own one of myself. Essentially, this is identical in its action, barrel, bolt, etc., and magazine system to the LRP. Now the big difference with the LRP is the weight and the length of the rifle forend, but we'll come to more of that in a minute. Essentially, there's no such thing as a more accurate one because it all comes down to the variation in factory tolerances, but bear in mind both of these do feature the match chamber rather than just the standard dimension chamber. A match chamber basically just pushes the limits of machining tolerances as close to the CIP regulations as possible, just to give you that extra element of precision in the rifle. The fluted barrel on this is 22mm in diameter. It's very appealing, very attractive, same as the LRP. As I say, same gun, different stock. So all the questions about which is the most accurate, out of any rifle, to be honest, which is the most accurate, often comes down to the fact that which one has got the best interaction capability with you as the human. Because I hate to tell you this, folks, but most rifles are let down by the human behind them. And of course, the stock itself is the main interface between you and the rifle. So let's have a look at this start to finish. We've discussed the barrel. These barrels all come, you can have mini sets, you can have them in all different chamberings, and 2.2 rimfire 17 HMR or 2.2 WMR in certain elements of the 2.2 range from CZ in the 457. There's a video on my channel, I'll put another link up to that, of how you swap the barrels in these. It's not quite an immediate solution because you've got to take the action out of the stock, but it's not actually very difficult to do, and return to zero is quite good, and those mini sets are reasonably well available. So if you do want to change something, you can do, and it would allow you, say, to run this as a PRS rifle, swap to a 17 HMR barrel if you wanted to, and use it as a precision varminter as well. Looking at the forend of this, we've got a lot of M-LOK rail capability. You can probably see on this I've added a bipod. I've also added a bit of a hashed up piece of Arca Swiss rail here because I was using it to shoot off a Bog Infinite tripod. On the underside there's a nice groove there which allows you to go straight to the magazine release, and that is actually appreciably fast. I've been reviewing this alongside the AT1, so I also have one of those to compare and contrast. But I will say this, that little groove there does draw your finger immediately to the fast magazine change. This one comes with a 5-round polymer magazine. It's very oily actually, and Caesar do seem to have been quite oily with these things. You can use any of the 5-round magazines from CZ or the 10-rounders as well. Interestingly, the AT1 comes with a steel magazine, this one comes with a polymer magazine. I know a lot of people are going to be absolutely obsessive over the fact that steel is better. It's up to you, it'll work with either, but I'm quite happy with the polymer ones myself. Just looking at some of the additions, it's got a 25 MOA inclination Picatinny rail, so that's good for increasing range, but of course a good scope on top. For PRS shooting you need range of movement, not just ultimate range. So although that adds to it overall for longer distance shooting with 2.2 rimfire, you do still need an optic with a good amount of variability in it. I've added a stud for that Harris bipod, M-LOK. You can add whatever you want, as you want and as you need. And of course for the PRS world, people may well use this a lot for adding additional weight. I will actually measure the forend on this on camera, and it's 370mm from the tip of the forend to trigger guard. Now, just so I can do this on camera and you can all see it, I'm going to grab an LRP now and just show you the difference in size. I didn't have a big enough bench, really, to nestle these next to each other, but that's an LRP. And comparatively speaking, tip of the forend to the trigger is 470mm. So if you compare the relative size of those two rifles, look at the difference in the length of the forend and the capability of that. But of course the barrel itself, just ignore the moderator on this one, but the barrel itself is exactly the same. The action is exactly the same. The bolt knob is exactly the same, but that is the huge difference between the two of them. You haven't got any M-LOK on the LRP. It's more of a prone rifle, but we'll come to that, and as I say, you can see the other reviews of it. So we covered the magazine, we covered the barrel, covered the forend. Let's look at the grip. We've got AR-15 compatible grips. It has actually got a decent length of the grip to the throat. So if we measure that there, we have got 70 millimeters from the trigger blade to the throw to the grip. So it is actually quite a nice sort of feel on it. You don't feel as if your finger's going all the way through the trigger guard. You can actually stay with your finger pad on the trigger and a nice 90-degree angle on your finger itself to make sure you're getting good, consistent trigger pulls. Left side shows the bolt release. Pop the bolt out if you want. I'm not sure if that, yeah, that will come out with a cheek piece there. So we've got twin extractor claws, usual 457 bolt. I've covered this in massive detail. It's got a light firing pin so you get fast lock times with them, but the tip of the firing pin has also got a square top. So if you do dry fire it, that square top is actually hitting the flat end of the back of the barrel rather than the edge of the chamber. I believe that is, I've never actually worn out a rimfire by dry firing it, but I can't see that as being a bad item to include on one. You'll see from the video, bolt speed is super fast. That bolt knob, you know, it's only a rubber ball about the size of a golf knob that goes over the top of the regular bolt knob itself, but it just does add that quick bit of grip and fingertip dexterity to it, so you can be on and off there very quickly. The bolt's got a Cocktax indicator on the back there. It's a lightweight striker describing. The trigger weight is adjustable from about 800 to 1500 grams. It is very crisp in single stage, and the adjustability does mean that as the rifle itself ages, wears, beds in initially, you can adjust it to make sure you're taking out any creep from the system. I did that on my own LRP. After the first sort of 1,000 rounds through it, I thought, right, I'm going to give this a go now. Took it all out of the stock, tweaked the trigger and got it absolutely super crisp, and since that time it hasn't faded. I like that element of the CZ because it means that they accept the fact that the steel in the mechanism will wear infinitely tiny amounts during the life of the rifle. So to make it adjustable means that you can accommodate that throughout the life of the rifle. It's not something that delivers perfectly crisp and then fades away as time goes by. It comes crisp, beds in a little bit, tweak it back up, stays that way, and I'm very happy with that system itself. On the back end, we've got an AR-15 type buffer tube. This one has got adjustable cheek piece on it. You need an Allen key to pop that up and down. There's loads of adjustability, so you've no issues there with whatever height of scope you've got on it. I'm probably sitting there on some high scope mounts with a big 34mm tube, and it's not even at the extent of its maximum travel, which of course does depend a little bit on your face size and your face shape, but it's not too angular. It does allow you to get a nice cheek weld in it, and it goes under your cheekbone because it's not too bulbous sideways, and there's a lot of space below for your actual jawbone itself to fit in without being displaced sideways off the stock. Length of pull is adjustable from 335 to 360 millimeters, and you've got a series of spaces in here which you can take in or out as you desire. The bottom of the butt here has got more M-LOK rail, so you can add a monopod or something like that, and it has also got a butt hook so you can clamp it well into your shoulder. That works either with a fist made there to support it or off a rest bag, and the butt pad itself is nice and grippy. It's not too big, fits in your shoulder, and it isn't one of these horrible spongy things. You've no recoil really to deal with on a 2.2 rimfire. Overall length is 1010 millimeters and overall weight is 3.4 kilograms. Compare that to the LRP, and the overall weight goes up to 3.9 kilograms. So of course you can add the weights to this to be equivalent to that and balance as you will. But one thing I will say about this directly versus the LRP, the physical accuracy and precision capability of the action is no different. I cannot differentiate between the two. I very much doubt anybody could. The big difference is that when you're in more dynamic shooting situations, the lighter weight, the shorter forend, and the ease of manoeuvrability of this does make it faster to use than the LRP. Conversely to that, when you're in a prone position, the LRP does sit incredibly stable. The length of the forend, which is 100 millimeters longer than this, and the mass of the gun itself does give you that greater stability and wheelbase, as I call it, between the rear support and the bipod 100 millimeters further forward at the front. And I'm not saying that this is unstable, I'm just saying that one is more stable. But this one gains its benefits back to those dynamic shooting situations. And that is down to what the user wants from their rifle. It's no point saying which one's more accurate, neither's more accurate. It's about how you want to use it. I actually used this one at the same time as the At 1, which arrived the same day. So it was very interesting to trial the two side by side. To be honest, there's absolutely no difference in ultimate accuracy and precision from the two of them. It's all about what the user's putting into it. But I will say the handling dynamics of the two are very, very different. And the At 1 has got, you know, push button release on the recoil pad and on the cheek piece to adjust it, whereas this one doesn't need Allen keys or the spacer system changing. Entirely up to you. But you will get from the rifle what you want from the rifle. So please, please, please don't ask me which is the most accurate. They're all virtually the same. It's all about this dynamic interaction between you, the shooter, and what you need, what accessories you want to add, etc., etc., etc. I would say that adding night vision to this as a rabbit control rifle is actually quite an appealing factor, because you know you got short 60-degree bolt lift, it's very fast to operate, and all that M-LOK does give you great possibilities for adding night vision add-ons like the infrared illuminators, which I am a big fan of, putting fore end up toward the fore end of the rifle. But of course the M-LOK on the underside means you can add Arca rail, you can add bipods, you can add whatever you want there. And of course that monopod at the back, if you want to, does push this back towards being a longer range varminter perhaps. I'm not a monopod fan myself at the back of a rifle. I find they're too slow and cumbersome to use, and when you've got recoil on a rifle and the gun moves slightly, well the monopod moves slightly, and it's a lot quicker to adjust your hand or a soft rear bag than to be twiddling a monopod. But each to their own. Picatinny rail makes it very easy to add a scope, and I really have no complaints about this rifle. I did like the LRP so much I actually bought it, and people said, oh, do you wish you'd not bought that now? Do you wish you'd bought the MDT? Well, no, I don't. That's not to say anything against the MDT, it just doesn't suit my needs and requirements quite the same. I like the LRP for pushing the extreme precision range shooting element, whereas I'd like this if I was more into the dynamic PRS type shooting, which I'm personally not that into, which doesn't mean I don't appreciate the delights of this rifle. I think it's a very good rifle to use. The only thing I would recommend is make sure that that lock ring on the buffer tube is tightened, because it can come a little bit loose, and of course when you've got the recoil capability or the twist capability of the recoil pad, which gives you extra leverage on it, I think I've nipped this one up tight now, but it will actually just come a little bit loose if you're not careful, so make sure that that locking collar is tight. And that's about it really. The Cerakote finish is tough, it's durable, of course it's an aluminium chassis, anything that's not Cerakoted is anodized, and you do get a lovely homogeneous look. I mean, there aren't many rifles that can come with an aftermarket stock, yet seem to somehow feel as if they were born and bred together. This one does. Ejection's positive, feed from the magazine is smooth and positive, and the trigger is beautifully crisp and precise. As I say, you can tweak them slightly if you need to, because they do bed in a little bit, and this one I will probably, if I shoot it anymore, I'll probably tweak it slightly just to ease that little bit of play out of it. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Please click the like button if you have, and please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you can keep track of my regular weekly uploads. If you are going to the British Shooting Show this year in 2023, there's a link at the end of the video which allows you to buy tickets, and tickets this year also include car parking for the day you're going to be there. So I hope to see you there, possibly. I will be more than likely around about the Sportsman Gun Centre stand, who thankfully send me these CZ rifles and are very appreciative of the videos I make about the guns for their own usage. So anyway, Happy New Year to everybody. Let's all have a fun one, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.